Good morning, friends. It is Link, the Gulf Coast Gardener. Today is Wednesday, February the 21st, and the weather has been fantastic. It's been warm and sunny, and I've got my fingers crossed that we are past the freezes, although we still could get a late freeze, but I'm hoping that doesn't happen. But there's some pretty cool stuff going on in the garden, so let's go take a look. First, I want to brag just a little bit about my herbs, which are doing so well in containers. I don't think I'll ever grow them in any other way. They are doing so well. I pruned them up a little bit recently, gave them a little dose of fertilizer, but I moved them in and out of the garage a couple of times over the winter to keep them from any freeze damage, and check them out. This German winter thyme is absolutely beautiful. These chives are just phenomenal. When you cut fresh chives when they're in the smaller stage, they are sweet. It is amazing. My little rosemary's doing really well over here, and rosemary likes dry soil, not too much water, not too fertile, so it does really well in containers. And this is just so pretty. Look at this oregano. This is Oregano Supreme. I gave it a nice haircut a couple of weeks ago, and it is doing really well. And check out this peppermint. This is absolutely beautiful. This is the perfect way to grow mint. Once you get something established like this, you can start taking cuttings and you'll have mint until the end of time. So the herbs are doing really well in containers, and I highly recommend you do the same thing. Over in this large raised bed, I used it as a way to store plants over the winter because I didn't want to have so many containers that I needed to keep watered or move in and out of the garage, and it did really well. We didn't have a very cold winter, and so I had these extra oregano plants that were really about 4-inch pot size. I put them all out in this raised bed, and look, they are gallon size now. They have done really well. Every single one of them has survived. So I'm gonna do this every year. When I have extra plants, I'm just gonna pop them over in the raised bed and they'll be ready to go in the spring. And check these guys out. You guys know I love Victoria Blue Salvia. I got about 40 plants that were volunteers, and I'll show you some other volunteers that have already popped up, but every single one of them survived. I dug up all these plants from next to the large patch right by the stairs, and these are all doing really well. So I'll be digging these up, potting them up, selling them in the very near future. And I did the same with these 3 rosemary plants. I had a few extra rosemaries, so I just popped them in the raised bed, and all 3 did really well. I don't think I watered this bed a single time. We had a pretty wet winter, and so they were very self-sufficient. We only had 1 freeze, 1 or 2, and all the plants did really well. But these will all survive freezes anyway. And check out all of these Victoria Blue Salvias. This is phenomenal. I started a bunch from seed in the garage, but gosh, I am gonna have plenty. They all did really well. And speaking of those Victoria Blue Salvia, they pop up everywhere. I did some weeding over the last few days. I was getting a little overwhelmed with weeds, and so I was cleaning up the dollar weed, and there's still some in there. But look, these things pop up everywhere. When your Victoria Blue Salvia flowers and goes to seed, you will start getting these volunteers everywhere, and they are really easy to dig up and transplant. So look, I've got these plants everywhere. I'll be digging all of these up and moving them. Maybe I'll leave some where they are, but this way you can just put them exactly where you need them, put them into pots. There's another one back there. So really happy with all of the salvias that I'll have. And check this out. This was a gift from my neighbor, Ron Wooten. These are spider lilies, if I'm not mistaken. They survived the freeze just fine. They froze back into a pile of mush, but look at them now. They're doing great. So I'm gonna have some beautiful lilies in the not too distant future. Really happy about that. Now down here, this is another one of my favorite perennials. This is mist flower. I just weeded this patch as well. This was covered in dollar weed, and it was a chore to get it all cleaned out, but check out all the green leaves. These are all mist flowers. This is a beautiful flowering perennial. Butterflies absolutely love this plant. You can dig it up and move it around. It spreads all over the place, so be aware. But I'm really happy with the way this mist flower is working out for me. And as we wander down here, you'll see more of those Victoria Blue Salvia. Check it out. These all froze back to the ground, but they're beautiful. They're gonna be the first flowers of the spring. And look at this big clump over here. These plants are amazing. I love this plant. You can plant them and forget them. They come back from freezes. They flower year round. I cut them back a couple of times a year when they get kind of leggy and woody, and then they just bounce back stronger than ever. So Victoria Blue Salvia, phenomenal plant. At the end of this raised bed is something I tried for the first time last year. I planted a ton of fall seeds in October, November timeframe, and just let them work things out. And check out this patch. This is a Texas Oklahoma wildflower mix that I got from Wild Seed Farms outside of Fredericksburg, and this is beautiful. I really don't even know the names of all these things. I do recognize a few bluebonnet plants in here. Here's some of the first flowers of the spring. Not sure what those are, but look at this. I planted them way too thick. I shouldn't have planted as many as I did, but I wanted to make sure to get good coverage, and well, as you can see, it worked. So I've got probably 10 or 15 different varieties of wildflowers. Really excited to see how these go. Now, I might just leave this as a perennial patch of flowers. I might dig them up and move them around, but anyway, for the cost of a little, I think it was a pound of seed, maybe a half pound, I forget. Check out all these flowers. This is going to be gorgeous. Now, continuing in that theme, these are more fall planted flowers. This is a mix from Botanical Interest. It's called Hummingbird Haven. And check this out. This is doing really well also. Now, I see 4 or 5 different varieties. There's probably more in there. I think the seed packet had 10 or 15 varieties, but I've got really nice coverage through here. I weeded them out a week or 2 ago and watered them in, but they've done really well. I didn't do anything to these seeds all winter long. I just planted them and I ignored them. And check it out. This is going to be gorgeous. Now, over on this side, I've got some dill plants. 3 of these are started from seed. I started this whole bin with dill, but I didn't get very good germination. But this big one, I just dug up in the yard literally yesterday and transplanted it. So I'll have a nice birdie's bed full of dill. I'll get a few more plants in there. I don't eat a lot of dill, but I do raise it to support the swallowtail butterflies. So that's the host plant for their caterpillar. So plant dill and you will have swallowtail butterflies if they're in your region. I've never grown onions before. I picked up a package of onion sets at Home Depot, if I'm not mistaken. These are the Texas 1020 sweet onions. I had a beautiful patch of onions a couple of years ago before the ice apocalypse destroyed everything. So we'll give it a try. We'll see about getting some onions this year out of the garden. And then, of course, this is my masterpiece. I love growing cilantro. You grow cilantro here in my Zone 9B in the fall is the best time, and it grows all winter. It survives freezes. And check this out. It is just gorgeous. Can you smell that? It's amazing. I love growing cilantro. Most people love cilantro, so it's a great crop to have extra, and you can just share it with your neighbors. Cilantro lime rice, pico de gallo, soups, salads, eat it fresh. I love cilantro. I grow cruiser variety from Johnny's Selected Seeds, and they have a ton of seed, a lot of great selections, but check out cruiser if you're interested. Now, this is a little early. I know we're in February, but I picked up some early jalapeno plants, and I'm just going to take my chances that we're not going to get a freeze. But I want to get it to an early start on these jalapenos. So I love making pickles, so I want to try to have a steady supply of jalapenos all summer to make pickles, as well as to eat fresh and to eat in cooking. So cross your fingers that we're past the freezes. If not, it's only a few plants. And of course, I also have my first tomato in the ground. Actually, it's my second. I've got an early girl, a bush tomato in a grow bag over on the side of the house right now, which I'm really excited about growing. But this is my first in the ground, well, in the raised bed. This is a Cherokee Purple, which I've never grown before, so I'm really excited about this. I know this cage really isn't big enough for a Cherokee Purple, but it's the best one I have, so I'm just gonna use that for now. And hopefully we won't get any freezes. I'll get off to an early start, and I'll have these Cherokee Purple tomatoes sooner rather than later. On this side, about a week ago, I planted some more Butter Crunch lettuce from seed, and I've got really nice germination. You can see the little green guys poking through there. So we'll get a final crop of lettuce well into late spring, maybe early summer, late spring most likely. And then these are some transplants. So I'll be eating these Butter Crunch lettuce sooner. By the time I work my way through these, then I'll be able to pop a tomato or peppers or something else in this raised bed. And at that point, these guys over here will be ready to go. And then a couple other things to talk about. Now, this is more of that fall seed starting project. And check this out. How beautiful is this? I love just having green stuff in the garden. I mean, I love growing flowers and vegetables and herbs, but just having nice greenery is also very appealing. And this is another mix from Botanical Interest. This is called Grandmother's Cut Flower Garden. And it's got these old-fashioned flowers. Just looking from here, I only really see 3 or 4 different varieties that kind of seem to be dominating this bed. But so what? If they're all covered in flowers, that is the goal. So Grandmother's Cut Flower Garden from Botanical Interest Seeds is doing really well. And I planted these in the fall. I think it was October or November. And let's swing around here, because here's something else that I am really happy about. This is my pallet compost bin. I've done a couple videos on it. And if you're raising a lot of vegetables or a lot of plants, you really need to have a compost bin, because you're gonna have a lot of leftover plant material. Plus, I put a lot of grass clippings in here. And the sun is shining right now, so I apologize for that, but check this out. It is beautiful. I just used several shovelfuls of my raised beds. I started this last year, and it is perfect. It smells good, it feels good, it looks good. Make your own compost. It's not hard at all. You just need to layer a bunch. You just pile a bunch of organic materials, grass clippings, plant material. Avoid, proteins, meats, and things like that will attract animals. Plus, they don't really break down. Anything that's plant related, you can put in your compost bin, and it just turns into the best compost you can grow. Now, around this backside, you may have seen a video or two where I talked about my passion vine. I love raising plants for butterflies, to support the caterpillars, because nothing makes me happier in the garden than flowers and butterflies. Of course, I love to eat tomatoes too, but check this guy out. This survives the winter, no problem. It's hardy down to well below my zone 9B. So once you get this established, it's not going anywhere. It's the host plant for the Gulf fritillary butterfly. And I actually have butterflies now and caterpillars now in February. I don't recall, I haven't grown a lot of these in the past, but check it out. I've got caterpillars all over this. I had an orange butterfly flying around just yesterday. That's one of the Gulf fritillaries. And you can see, they look a little different in the winter. And I understand that the passion vine is the host plant for more than one type of fritillary. So maybe this is not the Gulf fritillary. Maybe it's a different fritillary. I'll have to figure that out. But the bottom line is, plant your passion vine it needs something to climb on. Once you plant it, you can basically forget it. It doesn't need a lot of water. The leaves are very tough, and it does great. And then I've also dug up this patch back here. I grew these borage last year, and they start popping up all over the place. So I wanted to get them under control a little bit. So I put them over by the compost bin, and I'm gonna have beautiful flowers. And look, I've already got some flowering down here. This just in the last couple days. These are so pretty. They're really unusual flowers, and they're just gorgeous. And they're super easy to grow from seed. So if you're looking for a simple annual flower that will reseed itself, that really does support the pollinators really well, definitely plant some borage. It's wonderful. And one final thing to talk about are these potted plants over in the wagon. These are largely peppermint plants. You remember that beautiful peppermint plant that I had early in the video? Every single one of these is a cutting from that plant. So you can take a single stalk of peppermint, strip off the bottom leaves, stick it in a 4-inch pot, and pretty soon you will have a gallon-sized container of beautiful peppermint. So grow it in a container to keep it contained, of course, and then take cuttings, and you will have all of the peppermint that you need. Well, that's a quick update from the garden. Thanks for spending some time with me here today. Be sure to like this video if you found it useful. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and share it with all of your gardening friends. Thanks again for watching, and have yourself a fantastic day.